There are only 3 causes to disease, and it's very simple to understand. There are toxicities, there are deficiencies, and there are traumas. Now, trauma can be broken down into emotional or physical traumas, and realistically you could categorize traumas into a toxicity or a deficiency as well. We'll touch on that in a moment. Beginning with toxicity. Toxicity can be anything natural in excess, and it can be anything that's artificially created by human beings, right? When we're altering the state of something on a more chemical level. Realistically, the more processed that something is getting, the more detrimental it's going to be to your health. The further away from nature that you get, the more disease that you get, which is why I believe that as a population we're more sick than ever, because we're further away from nature than we've ever been. You know, you have the toxicities. So simply, as I mentioned, it's anything in excess that could be natural, right? And there are natural things that cause disease that are toxicity. There are natural poisons, right? And anything artificial, right? So artificial ways of life, artificial chemicals, too much screen time. You know, even any screen time is really bad, but we are resilient beings and we could deal with a little bit of it, I think so. So when it comes to deficiencies, what we're talking about is, you know, a lack thereof, right? So this doesn't necessarily mean nutrients, although I would say that largely you can have deficiencies of real food. I'm not going to go so far to say that you can have mineral deficiencies or vitamin deficiencies, because that becomes a more nuanced conversation, more difficult to explain and truly prove as an argument. But you can have deficiencies in real food. Processed food, obviously straying away from that of what is natural, is going to create deficiencies in real food. You can also have deficiencies in love. You can have deficiencies in sunlight and nature, you know, deficiencies in your relationships. You can have deficiencies in movement, in sleep. So there are many different ways to categorize deficiencies beyond that of a food deficiency or a mineral or vitamin deficiency. And so, of course, addressing a toxicity and a deficiency, you're addressing the environment, right? And the trauma as well. But when you're addressing the environment of a toxicity or deficiency, you're really getting at the crux of the terrain. With a toxicity, what you want to do is address that as the root cause, the source of the toxicity. You would like to remove the toxicity from your life. That's addressing the root cause. For a deficiency, you want to add in whatever is lacking, right? You can see this is very simple, of course, but finding it may be more difficult as we tend to put up blinders as humans, our psyches especially. It's very hard to look at ourselves objectively and truthfully to assess the true causes of our toxicities or deficiencies. But that's fundamentally how you address these concerns. Through the terrain, always through the terrain. So when it comes to trauma, you can sort of categorize this as well into a toxicity or deficiency as well, because whether you're talking about physical trauma, you know, you could talk about excessive poor movement, falling off here and breaking my leg on a rock would sort of be like some sort of toxicity. It's a toxic experience, right? If you think about it very abstractly. More clearly, we could talk about traumas in the psychological, psycho-emotional sense, where you can have toxicities or deficiencies there. You can have toxic relationships, right? That other people may be trying to harm you, right? They may not have your best interests in mind. You could also have deficiencies where they neglect you or they don't offer up support or things of this nature as well. So you can see that there are deficiencies on the psycho-emotional and social realm, as well as, you know, in the physical realm, right? And with traumas, of course, toxicity of the physical realm could also be chemical toxicity or even deficiency of maybe minerals or vitamins or whole foods, as I like to say. So what we're getting at here is very fundamental understanding of what causes disease. And so if you're working with a practitioner, if you're working with yourself, you want to address the root of the cause, because if you have an underlying toxicity and you never get rid of that toxicity, you could do as much work on yourself and supplement and all that crap and pharmaceuticals, whatever, even cognitive behavioral therapy, if you want to think about it psychologically. If you're not removing the toxicity, you're not going to get anywhere, because you're just going to end up back in that state. So you're just putting band-aids on a wound that still has a knife in it. Right? So you really want to ensure that you're taking the knife out when it comes to toxicities. The same with deficiencies. You know, if you're going to supplement or take pharmaceuticals to address some sort of deficiency, you're always going to end up back in that state of disease. You want to address the absolute most underlying concern. And truly, this may go all the way to the psycho-emotional realm. You know, that's something that I am exploring in depth right now, because there is a certain case for that, I believe, through maybe Germanic medicine or things of this nature. So it's really important to get to the root of the problem, of course. If you guys found this video informative, or you liked it, or entertaining, whatsoever, you know, give us a like, share, comment, subscribe. Sharing is the best way to support us, for sure. And make sure you subscribe. And if your subscribers are not public, make sure you message me on Instagram, because we're doing a book giveaway, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions by Thomas Kuhn, at 1,000 subscribers. So if you enjoyed this, make sure you do that. If you didn't enjoy it, give us a like anyways, and go comment, tell me why you hated this video. So, all right, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll delve more into this topic, because you can go super, super in depth into this topic, talking about specific toxicities or specific deficiencies. And so we'll definitely cover this a lot more moving forward. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and take care.